Creating art is stepping into the abyss and letting things get as messed up as they need to be until suddenly they're not, because that's the only way you figure out what the next point on the map is. My name is Shearer. I am an artist based in Seattle, Washington. In my universe, there are no straight lines. My work is very much about how things feel. I take real places, real things, but I try to portray them as a dream, or as if you were trying to recount a memory to someone about a place you'd been or a place you lived. I predominantly do urban landscapes, and I paint urban landscapes as a metaphor and way to talk about neurological disability and explore kind of how our brain interprets reality. In 2018, I had a cryptogenic ischemic stroke. I was in such shock, and there's a lot of trauma involved when something like that happens. I was in the hospital all the time, in and out, and the prognosis was the same always. They were like, we have no idea. We don't know if you're ever gonna paint again, work again, whatever. After a few months of trying and horrible attempts, I finally painted something that resembled something. The thing is it was as if I was possessed. What I painted looked nothing like anything I'd ever done before. The strokes were completely different. It's very difficult to spend years finding yourself and honing your craft and figuring out how you do things and why you do things and whatever, and then have that completely change. I was like, you have to decide what to do. Like, you can either completely abandon visual art, or you can commit and see who the hell this person is that's suddenly working and doing this. Once I started painting again, I just wanted to document the world around me. Trying to figure out what I could do and who I was now. And then it kind of became as a language for me, and I started trying to kind of show how, everything always feels like it's falling, and how light affects me, especially at night. I paint a lot of night scenes, how the interaction between light and shadow and complete darkness, how it kind of scrambles my senses in this really beautiful way, and use that to kind of create this ethereal, emotive atmosphere and narrative. In the past few years, I started doing this series and incorporating journal entries into my work that are from a journal that I was keeping when I was relearning how to write by hand, and printing out my medical notes and decoupaging them in really small type into the work, so it's like hidden in like a street sign or a storefront or whatever, and it's kind of this commentary on invisible disability and how a person can present a beautiful picture, but on the inside there's all these other things going on. And I think that speaks a lot to everyone, regardless of ability or disability. We all carry our narratives around with us, and these stories with us, and these hurts and these heartbreaks and these triumphs that the rest of the world is constantly not realizing. The world is ableist, and the world has certain judgments or expectations around ability and disability. You don't see things you're not trained to see. And that's something I think it's very important to me to try to communicate with the world. I really have been getting more and more into disability access the past few years, and so my work I'm trying to make it more accessible to people with low vision or no vision, so that they can find ways to interact with the work. Because I think there's a whole segment of the community we're kind of ignoring as visual artists. We don't think about each other's narratives and each other's stories as much as we can, and it's a shame for everyone. It's a shame for other people who are having their lives consistently marginalized and their stories overlooked. It's a shame for us because we are denying ourselves the ability to learn about someone else's, whatever the case may be. And so that's why I'm talking about these things is important to me. That's why talking about invisible disability and neurological disability is important to me, because I don't think it's just a thing that I have. I have something that makes my life incredibly complicated, and so do a lot of other people. And that's the piece that I think I'm really trying to convey. Artists are trailblazers. Disabled artists in particular are kind of unicorn trailblazers, because everyone, if you live long enough, you're going to end up disabled. It could happen when you're 16, it could happen when you're 30, it could happen when you're 70, it could happen when you're 90. You're going to suddenly end up having to do things differently. You're going to somehow end up being a different person than you once were. And we need as many people out there shining a light saying, hey, here's a way to move, here's a direction you can go in that is open to that. There is a and then.